All right, cool. So I know I hadn't been on here a while. I've been kind of busy doing some things and stuff. So I haven't been on a while. So what I want to go over is the night vision units that I purchased for testing purposes. So I put in the description the ones I recommend you buy. And I bought these devices because they are around the $200 price range, 200 to 500, depending on where you buy them from. I got mine fairly cheaply, but sometimes they're more expensive. And it just depends on where you buy them from. Now, the only one I recommend out of all these that you buy is this one. This one has a lot of potential, there's a lot of features in it that you can do. This one has a regular floodlight and an IR floodlight. And it's the only one out of all these four devices that you can actually dim the screen, which is important. So I had to do workarounds to make the other ones work. Now, here's the issue. The reason why the Chinese night vision that mostly are manufactured in China, the reason why they're zoomed in is because they sell more spotting scopes than they do actually scopes that people are going to wear, to put on their helmets. So that is the reason why most of the time when you buy one from China, it's going to be zoomed in to like 5x or 6x magnification, because that's the most popular models that they sell. So basically, when they design these things and build them, they're just using like spec parts that are basically have these like kind of like a telescope. And that's pretty much what they manufacture them for. These aren't really designed for you to be able to walk around like we would do here in the West. We mostly want to put them on our helmets. Whereas most of the people that are going to buy these, they're going to actually just use them as a spotting scope. So if you use it as a spotting scope, it doesn't really matter that it's zoomed in. Now, I was able to fix that whole issue with this particular model because I did the corrective lens. You can see that on my channel and look through all the different videos I made on this one. And once I did it, this actually is pretty good. I actually enjoyed this one. I have this one here, which is a cheap one that a lot of people are going to buy. And here's the thing about this one. This is a toy. However, it does have a wide field of view because I guess whenever they made this thing, they didn't want little kids bumping into the wall. This is basically something designed for a little kid, but it actually has a wide field of view and a wide screen. So you actually, if you could figure it out and rig it some kind of way, you probably could wear this on, a helmet. But that's not what it's designed for. It's really designed for you to use it as a spotting scope, which for that is fine. If you want something to go in the woods and be able to see in the dark, that's perfect for that. Now, I'm going to the worst ones out of the four. So I'll go to worst. I was trying to find a workarounds for the PVS 14. It's not really anything I can do with this other than, I guess, remanufacturing it. And that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to completely disassemble it and see what I can do. So one of the reasons why it's so bad is that whenever they made these, for some reason, they glued or epoxy the lenses in. And this first objective lens here, the front lens, it's not functional. You can't focus it. You can focus the diopter in the back, but you can't focus the objective lens. So for whatever reason, when they epoxied it, you can't even adjust the front lens of it. And that's confusing because this company makes the PVS 18, and the PVS 18 is, you can focus it, right? Now the PVS 18 is 32 by 1. This is one of the only night visions and actually this one isn't always cheap. You'll find this between $200 to $500, depending on where you buy it from. If you're buying it from AliExpress or Amazon or whatever, that's the price range you could expect to pay for this. And you all know this is the one that most people hate on. However, this does have one good saving grace. It is 1x magnification. So that is really the only good thing about it. So some of the modifications that I've made on these different three is I replaced this lens here with more high quality optical glass. The kind of glass that that's made in Germany, I believe. And I bought it from, I think it's Edmunds Optical. So when I replaced the one lens, I tried using one lens to see could I reduce the magnification. So that didn't work. So I may try one more time, and I will try using two lenses to see if I can actually reduce the magnification. I don't think I will be able to, but just in case I can, I'll play around with it to see. I believe what I'm probably going to have to do is disassemble this and heat it up with my heat gun to see if I can actually remove these lenses. If you could remove the lens, it probably wouldn't be so bad, but it's not really anything you can do with it, because with these, they simulated the look of it, but none of the internals are actually what would be in a PVS 14. And I'm still confused why they designed the lens like this, because why don't you just replicate the regular PVS 14 lens? See, because like when you look at this thing has like, let's see how many lenses in. It has like 3 to 4 different lenses in it, depending on what model you may have. And I just don't understand why they would go through the cost of doing all that extra complicated stuff to make it, when they could have just copied a PVS 14 lens and just put that on it and been done with it. It looks like to me the way they manufactured this one was a lot more complicated. But I guess they had their reasons. Like I said, this was intended as a spotting scope. It was never really intended on being a actual night vision device you could put on your helmet and walk around with. And I did a lot of upgrades on here. I actually added a different focusing mechanism for the IR illuminator. But I'm gonna have to just do some more work on this guy and disassemble it and see what I can do. Now, as far as the PVS 18 is concerned, I am pleasantly pleased with this one. After I did the upgrades to it, it actually works pretty well. So what I'm trying to do is get up with the company that makes these, which is YSS Corp, and to see if they would actually do a limited run with all the fixes that I did to this one. And I'm actually interested in buying some of those, because what I want to do with this is, number one, so if you look at it here, I have the upgraded reflector. And the upgraded reflector solved the problem that most people complain about. So like whenever you see people complaining about these night vision and they're complaining about the lag, that's not lag. What's going on is most of these devices, the IR floodlight is really weak. And so what happens is the optical sensor is struggling to keep up with the low light that it has, because the IR illuminator is so weak. So that's where you see the snow and the jerkiness. Whenever you increase the brightness of the IR flood, all that's eliminated. So what that means is you're not looking at lag, you're actually looking at a poor illumination, if that makes sense. So that was the first upgrade I did to this. I added a new reflector on here to focus the IR light, and that made all the difference. Now I can see, like, you can look on my channel, I can probably see with this device about a football field in the complete dark, which is decent for a little cheap device. That's all you need, because these devices that we have here, these are meant for civilian use. We're not trying to build military spec. So being able to see a football field at night, that's plenty. The other thing that I had to do with this is I took the lens out. This particular PVS 18, it has 3 different lenses in here. And this is another one, when they manufacture it, they actually epoxy the lenses in, which to me doesn't make any sense, but that's how they did it. But what I had to end up doing was I took the lenses out, I cleaned them, and then I painted the edge of the lenses. So there's actually 3 lenses in here, and that cut down on the stray ghosting images being reflected back into the sensor. Another thing that I did once I did that is there's a little housing. And here you can look at my channel. I got all the videos when I showed this, but this is a whole little housing assembly that does, to their credit, they made this one where the whole lens assembly comes out. And when you remove it, it's made out of a shiny metal. So what I did with the metal was I painted it flat black, and that helped cut down on some of those stray reflections and stuff, and it performed a lot better. Now the other thing that I had to do with it was, if you look at the back here, it's green. I had to put several coats of window tint, because one issue with this device, whenever you see the people showing them and they can't really see, one of the main issues with this device is it's too bright. You can't cut the glare. So what I want to do is I want to see if I can get them to manufacture me one to my spec. So the first thing that I want to do with it is I want them to manufacture 2 different houses. I want a right hand and a left hand housing. So you have, like, to give you an example, this side right here would be the left hand housing, and the right hand housing, this would look identical but just reverse, meaning that The illuminator would be on this side. That's what I want done, so that way I have a right side and a left side, so that makes it easier for a dual setup. I also want a mechanism in here, or a little switch, for them to cut off when it's flipped in the up position, because this one doesn't cut off, it stays on. So I want to do that. I also want to have a way where I can actually dim the screen so it's not so bright. I can adjust it. And then number 3, or is that number 4? I forget. So once I have it where I can dim the screen, what else I'm trying to show on here? If you hear some noise, that's just my son playing his game out there. Let's see what the other pieces on here. But yeah, once I have that where I want to be able to, like I said, dim the screen. I want to also be able to adjust the IR flood. I want to be able to cut it off if I want to, or leave it on. The funny thing about this one is, after I did the work on the lenses, it actually sees pretty well at night. And one thing that is critical for these, I want to change like this thread on here. This thread needs to be a 37 millimeter, so that I can put a step down ring on it, and I can use the adjustable diaphragm. And that's pretty big with being able to focus it. That's pretty much all I would do to this one. If I could get them to manufacture me some of these, I think this would be a pretty popular one if I could get the stuff done to my specs. Also, what I would do is I would get rid of that screen, that square, and I would put a round square. So the thing is, even if I just use the same size screen, but if I had a round screen, it probably would look a lot better. So that's one of the things I do like about this device. It does have a round screen in it. So, and I've noticed some of these night visions do have round screens, interestingly enough. They're not all square. I guess the time they started making these things, they were a lot cheaper. Having the square screens, look like to me the watch, smartwatch screens would be a little cheaper, but maybe the smartwatches really wasn't a thing when they started selling these little cheap night visions. I'm not sure. But that's what I would do. So I'm trying to get in touch with them, but YSS Corp is notoriously difficult getting in touch with. Whenever I try to send them an email, it bounces back. I got some comments. I'm sorry that I didn't respond to them because I don't have my glasses on. Because my glasses are Meta glasses, and they will go to... Yeah, he's talking about Tom Clancy. It does kind of look like that. Yeah. So they definitely were trying to do some PVS-7 things, I guess, when they designed this one or whatever. I'm not sure. But anyway, if you look at the description, I put down some VGs that you probably should buy, that you'd be more happy with than purchasing any of these. Like I said, the only one I would purchase would be this one. I only buy these because I test them and stuff for my channel. So I'll tell you if it's worth putting your money on it. So like this one it looks cool. That's why I like the PVS 18. I do like it because I like the look of it. It does look cool. They even replicated everything on it. They even put the faux sticker on here by the, let's see if you can see here. I think it's Linton. I don't know if can you see that. But they actually put the name of the company that actually made these. Funny enough, EOTech also makes well, they don't anymore, but EOTech did make PVS 18s. If you go to the EOTech site, you can see that this is one of the products that they had, but it says discontinued. And funny enough, EOTech also makes digital sensors for like night vision, digital night vision. But they're kind of on the pricey side. And then the funny thing too about this company, YSS Corp, they do make another one that is got a lot of good favorable reviews. So it's only a few things that they had to do, and this could have been a good one for the North American market. But like I said, the extra time to make one for us isn't worth the money in it with them, I guess, because like I said, majority of the people around the world are just going to use it as a spot and scope. So they don't care about really the qualities if you want to have it on a helmet. But like I said, it's the workarounds on all of these. But this one definitely needs work. And like I said, that's different things that this quality of life mods that we want in the West that these cheaper ones really don't have, because you would think they would put it where it would cut off when you flipped in the up position. Now, the microcontroller inside of here, it looks like it's an ESP32, which could either be an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi. It could be either one of them. I'm not exactly sure which one, what software, because I've seen them when they built it, so I never disassembled it. But I would have to see what kind of software is running to tell you whether or not it's either a Raspberry Pi or the Arduino. Because the ESP32s, it could be, they made both of them. China made clones that are Arduino and also Raspberry Pi. It seems like the Raspberry Pi has more camera software, so I'm leaning toward this being a Raspberry Pi inside of it. Let's see, how you doing? I think, what is this? YTB 25 channel. Anyway, how you doing? But anyway, that's the thing. I'm thinking that if I could get a hold of these guys and get them made cheaply enough, that their actually would be pretty good. Because like I said, with the mods I did to it, it's actually pretty good. But I only would, like I said, buy these if you want to play around with these two. As I said, this is a toy. This is the only one that really you can really do anything decent with. It also, you can use external power supply, which is good. But you're going to have to do the lens mod, which I show on my channel, because I had to do the corrective lens, so that this is 1x now. And that was possible because when they designed this thing, it uses external lens. This lens here has a IR filter in it, so it cuts out the IR light. And because they designed this to use that, it was a simple workaround by using the corrective lens. And of course, I've made videos before about the custom lens holder, which is this. And this is just a smartphone lens that you put on your smartphone. This is actually the fisheye lens that I like the best. I have a fisheye lens, a wide angle lens, telephoto lens. So depending on what application you're doing, you could swap the lens out. But if you want to put this on your head and want it as like a 1x magnification, you want the fisheye lens or either the wide angle lens. Whereas if you just use this thing without the lens, it is like a 8x magnification. So like if I showed it, the reason I'm not showing it, I have showed all these on my channel. You just have to search through it. But like if I showed it, it'll be like right here on my wall. It's like zoomed in right there instead of like the whole entire wall. And it's just a little stuff like this with these devices. Like I said again, this could have easily been fixed. I mean, if I had built this, there's no reason why they couldn't have did this from the get-go. It should have been like this without having it zoomed in. But like I said, this is designed for somebody to look through at night as a spotting scope. It's not really designed for you to walk around, even though they imply that's the case when you see this Wilcox adapter for this dovetail mount to go on your Wilcox. See, why would you have that if you didn't intend for them to see? That's what it's designed for. So why would you put that on there if you didn't intend for you to put it on your head? But you can't walk around with it. I never really did any more mods to this thing here, other than I had to take it apart and fix it because the wires were really badly corroded. And when I disassembled it, wiring inside of it, and I resoldered it, and then I covered it up with liquid tape, which shouldn't be an issue with me because I don't use anything but rechargeable batteries, so they shouldn't leak. I seldom use those alkaline. I think those what are those? The alkaline batteries that leak like that. Cause yeah, when you come back to your devices and you leave those things in, they will have your devices full of that liquid acid or stuff in them. And like I've tried, like now this company here has reached out. They saw some of my videos and then they reached out to me and they were asking me questions. But like I said again, I don't know how I can convey to them that for the North American market, they want these things to be like 1x mag. They don't want them all zoomed in. So it's little things like that. They could probably sell more of these, and not like they really care. Because they don't, a lot of these sensors they're using, they just throw whatever they have laying around in the factories. They're not really trying to build these things with a high quality. They just really throw them together. Even when you look at the build video of this one, you know, they're not in like a clean room. They're just in some factory. It looks like an apartment complex, kind of like. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just whenever you got optics and then you got a lot of dust, you're asking for trouble. If you ever had to clean the lens, this is aggravating because normally, like what I do is when I clean the lens, is I get rubbing alcohol and I use like cotton swabs, and then I have another, what is that thing I have here? I brush the dust off the lenses. So here's something I found out with a lot of these lenses. I don't use acetone on them because more often than not, these lenses are actually acrylic. They're not actual optical glass. Like the lens in here, since I put that lens in there, it is optical glass. But these other lenses are all acrylic. So if you put acetone on it, you stand the risk of actually damaging your lens. And also to be very careful if you're trying to use any type of polishing wheel or high-speed tool to polish them, because unlike glass, acrylic, it just kind of melt, and then you can make like little cavities and stuff into your lens when you do it. So that's what I learned with playing around with these. I made that mistake. So if you do get these, don't do that, because you'll mess up your lens. And again, I put in the description the ones you're probably going to want. Probably the best one for your money is going to be the night operators, the heat, and then the vision. Because you can get the visions around $200, which actually is what this one costs. That one was like two. That one was two. This one was like 150, I think. And then this one was like $25 because it's old. Now these go for anywhere from 200 to 500. They're not worth 500, obviously. Now I didn't pay 200 for this, because I actually got a good deal on this one. And of course, I got other night vision that I forgot. I have the spotting scopes, which are fairly good, but they're a different purpose for those. So they're meant to go on your rifle, so that's kind of different. They're not meant or designed for you to walk around with on your head. But that's pretty much it for this. This has been a long-term testing. I bought most of these in 2024, so they've held up. I mean, they didn't die on me. I do use rechargeable batteries so that I'm not always constantly replacing batteries, because that gets to be a pain. And as far as it being a digital with the IR illuminator, that doesn't bother me, because I have a illuminator on my shotgun, which I have that on my channel as well, and also on the AR. So if I got a PEC 15 on there, using the IR illuminator anyway, then it doesn't really matter to me that people will see it. And I also have it on my pistol. I forgot what sure shot that one is, but I have a sure shot, the one that has the laser and the IR illuminator and all that stuff on it. So since I have that anyway, it doesn't really matter if you see the light, because if you got it on your on like a pistol or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But I don't know if anybody else had any more questions about this stuff. I'll probably do some videos later. I'm kind of looking at the news on weird stuff that's been going on lately, like the guy in Pennsylvania doing the grave robbing. And he looks like what you expect, him to look like, with being a weirdo. Funny thing about it, he looks just like this kid that I went to school with. This was back in the 90s. And he was doing the same thing. He was a grave robbing. I actually went to school with this kid. And he was bringing the skulls to school and everything, showing the people. So he broke into a lot of the crypts and did the same stupid stuff. But there wasn't Facebook back then, so he wasn't doing any selling them or anything like that. Then he was breaking in cars. I think what he was actually doing was actually stealing jewelry. I think that's what he was looking for, like Rolex watches and jewelry and all that kind of stuff and gold teeth. So that's what he did. But they went lightly on him because, with us being back then teenagers, whenever the police did catch up with him, they kind of gave him a slap on the wrist. But he did have karma come back to him because he ran afoul of one of the local gangs at my high school. Because one of the guys that were friends with him got killed because he was on the back of what was it? Yeah, he was on the back of the truck. And you know how, like, when you're riding on the back of a truck and then you have a toolbox. Well, the toolbox wasn't bolted down right or something, or came undone. And when the guy stopped real fast, it hit him in the back of the head and killed him. And so he was making fun of him. So it was about 10 of those guys caught up with the guy, like I said, that was doing the grave robbing. They beat him within an inch of his life. And the other thing that's crazy was they were talking about when they went and overthrew Venezuela, they were talking about, there's these reports about the U.S. came in with advanced weapons, right? So I don't know if all that stuff is true, but the guy was saying, like, it was only like 20 of them and like 4 helicopters, and they were just killing like thousands of Venezuelan troops. Using some type of weapon. But everybody keeps thinking it's like a sonic weapon. I don't think it's a sonic weapon because normally sonic weapons, I mean, they can make your bleeding, like make you throw up blood or whatever, but that sounds more like a pressure weapon. It's something that can create like a shock wave to me. Like if you had to ask me, whenever you have explosions, right, what really kills you is the overpressure. So if you could have like a directed overpressure where you could have a directed shock wave, that would be a devastating weapon. Something kind of like what you see those guys that take those 2 drink bottles, not drink bottles, those 2 water bottles, the big ones that you use when you go buy them from any store like Walmart or something like that, and that they have the bottled water, not a bottled water, you stick them in a water cooler, But they cut the ends out of them, and then they stick the propane gas and turn it around, and then you see them light it, and it's like a shockwave come out. To me, that's something more or less what they made. Because here's the thing: if you hit somebody with a powerful enough shockwave, you wouldn't even need to have them in the line of sight. If you could have it where that it would be focused in like a narrow beam, or not a narrow beam, it's like a wave since it's actually sound, or pressure. It's not sound, it's pressure. And then it would radiate outward. You would even take out targets. It wouldn't matter if they were inside buildings or behind things, because that's what happens with the pressure wave. So if you could make it where that you could generate a overpressure but not have an explosion behind it without having to drop like ordnance to do it, that'd be a devastating weapon. And that kind of sounds like what they have, because they claim once they dropped out of the helicopters or like the exosuits on, kind of like Advanced Warfare and Atlas, if you ever played that COD game. And that's what they took them out with. Which if they did, man, that's wow. I don't know if it's true or not. We'll see though. But I do know they were working on stuff like that. They also had the HARP weapon, which is the directed energy weapon that they have. It's like a satellite. They can hit stuff from space, but I don't think that's what they were using. Like I said, everybody else think it's they think it's some type of sonic weapon, and it might be. I have no idea. It could be sonic. I've seen those before. But from what I understand though, the sonic weapons more or less were designed to make you nauseous or lose control of your bodily function, so you would actually go to the bathroom on yourself without them really having to shoot you. So I don't really know why it would actually cause so much damage on you that it would make them vomit blood. That doesn't really make any sense for that to be a sonic weapon. Not to say it's not a sonic weapon, but it just don't sound like that to me. It sounds like something else. I think they said they had the stealth helicopters. I don't know if they had those Black Hawks that are quiet. Although Black Hawks are old, they're not using them, I don't think, as much anymore. I know my son's unit that he's in, they still have Black Hawks because he showed me a video of them flying in it. I don't know. I think they got another one, right? What is that thing they had? I think they said they're going to that. I don't remember what it is. It's not the Osprey. It's a different one they were talking about. But it's a tilt rotor like a Osprey. But I can't remember who made it. I don't remember if it was Boeing or Sikorsky. or was it